Welcome to the Soulside Talk Show. I'm your host, David J. Dill, and this episode is a follow-up to part one of Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise. In Healthy, Wealthy, and Wise Part 1, I introduced the Good Ground Initiative as one of the community services provided by Intercultural Collaborative. The Good Ground Initiative is geared towards helping local churches connect with and serve their communities and to help increase church membership. You can learn more about Intercultural Collaborative by going to our Facebook page of the same name, Intercultural Collaborative. The Good Ground Initiative Facebook page will be up soon, and I'll let you know as soon as it's published. On today's show, we want to look at the increased risk factors associated with COVID-19 amongst Blacks in America. One of the major reasons some in the Black population don't like going to the doctor is because of an inhumane and vicious guinea pig experiment known as the Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male. Between the years of 1942 and 1972, we're talking 30-year period of time, the U.S. government intentionally injected Black men with syphilis. Not only without telling them, they were told they were being treated for bad blood. They were told they were being treated for anemia and fatigue. They were given the impression that they were receiving a cure, when in fact, they were purposely being infected with a parasite that began destroying their bodies. When debilitating symptoms started showing up, the initial treatment administered to some of these Black men included giving them arsenic and mercury, both of which are known poisons. And the ugliest part of this whole thing is that once the original study failed to produce any useful data, the head administrators of this brutal and inhumane experiment decided to let these syphilis-injected men die without any treatment at all and to simply notate the effects they suffered from till the point of death, all while knowing what they had done to these men. Now, can you think of a better way to make Black people wary about going to the doctor than the Tuskegee study of untreated syphilis in the Negro male? As a result of the Tuskegee syphilis experiment on Black men for 30 years straight in this country, the message from the U.S. government and the medical institution was very well heard by the Black community. That message was, you can't ever trust us to do right by you. You don't mean a thing. See, the tsunami wave ripple effects of that message still reverberate till this very day, 50 to 80 years later, and quite likely will continue to do so for generations to come. When it comes to uncovering the reasons why Blacks are dying from COVID-19 at twice the rates of whites in America, we're hearing about lack of health care. We are hearing about low income. What we're not focused on is how even those of us who can afford going to the doctor will not go and do not go. When it was discovered that these Black men were intentionally experimented on and destroyed by the U.S. government and medical establishment, an ongoing distrust of doctors in general took place. Many Black people avoid doctors like the plague, even to this very day, some 50 years after these experiments ceased, because of the oppressors' incessant attempts throughout this country's history to capitalize off of and destroy Black people and Black culture. How do Black people move beyond this monumental devastation and mistrust? It's an extremely complex issue, brothers and sisters, and I'm not trying to deal with the whole matter in one episode. I pray that you stay with me as we go in depth on this matter, and I welcome your input. Feel free to comment in the section below in this post, or you can email me directly, djdill.soultalk@gmail.com, djdill.soultalk@gmail.com. Let's pick up on this matter as to why Black people are dying at twice the rate as whites from COVID-19 after this brief break.
Beyond startup, scaling and growing minority business is our business. We offer full-service technical support for businesses, virtual business incubation, customized back-office solutions, enterprise-level business management, and online monetization systems. We are a Birmingham-based business. For information, visit our Facebook page at Beyond Startup. During this difficult time, we encourage you to support your local businesses. Thank you.
The Soulside Enterprises is very happy to participate in the Beyond Startup program being offered here in the greater Birmingham area. We're very thankful to Kathy Scarborough and all of the services that she's providing through Beyond Startup. Once again, go to her Facebook page, Beyond Startup. Welcome back. Before the break, we were asking the question as to how Black people in America can move beyond our inherent mistrust of the government and the medical system at large. First of all, let me start off by saying that not everyone working in these systems are evil and out to get Black people. While there are some people in those systems who don't have our best interest at heart, there are many others who are not racist and who are not hateful. There are many non-Black people out here who have good hearts and who treat us fairly in spite of our racial and cultural differences. As far as how Black people move beyond our general ambivalence and distrust, many of us as Black people have become very active in both the government and medical systems. In essence, we began doing what we believe we need to do in order to make a positive difference and to become the solutions to the problems we see. We are taking advantage of wide open opportunities before us to get great education before, during, and after college. We are positioning ourselves to serve in high-level governmental positions. We are becoming lawyers and getting ourselves elected as district judges and Supreme Court judges. We are serving as nurses, doctors, specialists, and surgeons in the medical field like never before. And we are grooming our offspring to do the same. So things are indeed changing for the better in the Black community, yet we still see these disturbing numbers. With all the advances Blacks are making in society, why is it that we are still dying at twice the rates as whites in this COVID-19 pandemic here in America? As I said, we are indeed changing things. We're doing what we can to minimize our distrust of government and the medical system by becoming involved, and we're doing the right thing while we're serving in these systems. Based on that fact alone, the likelihood is that we would be dying at even higher rates if we weren't doing what we're already doing to help eliminate our distrust of going to a doctor to receive good and proper health care. Let's look closer as to why people of all races are dying from COVID-19, when the vast majority of those who contract the disease are not dying. The statistics indicate that mostly all the ones who are dying already have a debilitating illness going on. Their immune systems were already compromised before they contracted COVID-19. And when they became infected with COVID-19, their immune systems became overwhelmed to the point where the disease carried out and completed its destructive mission. So what's really going on with that? We see the stats. We're hearing what the immunologists are saying. We feel bad about what's happening, but mass media is definitely not dealing with the issue of doing everything we can to boost our immunity. You're not hearing about this in mass media. While we're focused on the viral threat from outside of our bodies, what are we doing to build up our immune defenses from within? This is not a Black issue. This is not a white issue. COVID-19 is not a racial or a cultural issue. This is a basic human health issue and a human soul issue. Now, I'll explain the soul issue piece as we move along, but first we need to look at what's not being talked about on a massive scale in the news media and in social media also. This subject is barely touched on. Many of us are already enlightened on the subject of initiating good health practices with diet and exercise. Some of us are familiar with our need to supplement with essential vitamins and minerals. We know about that. We are tuned in to widely available information on the health benefits of many natural substances like raw honey or garlic, ginger, turmeric, cayenne pepper, aloe vera, black tea, and a host of many other things that Mother Nature provides. Some of us already understand our need to supplement with a good probiotic formula, with a good digestive enzyme formula, and we know how to avoid certain foods and beverages that are bad for us, stuff that weakens our immunity. My point here is that even though many of us know these things, a lot of us are not following through with what we know. We're not following through with the knowledge we do have. We're not sharing what we know with others. We're not even following our own advice in some cases. We're in a situation, brothers and sisters, where our focus is on preventing the infection, and that's it. Now, doing all the steps necessary to prevent the infection from spreading and infecting other people, it's of paramount importance. But the question is, what are we doing about building ourselves up immunity-wise on the inside? How many of us have done a word search on ways to build immunity? What foods should we be eating right now? What natural substances should we be supplementing with? The government is telling us that there is no cure for COVID-19. There is no vaccine, and only 1% of Americans so far have been tested for this disease. So there's no telling who's got it. And right now, as of April 19th, 2020, after many of us have been locked down in a quarantine state around the country for somewhere between 4 and 6 weeks, there's talk about reopening the country. Now, this is only after 1% of the Americans have been tested. And we know that there's not enough test kits available for everybody to be tested. So what in the world is going on? It's very well understood, brothers and sisters, that there are people infected with the disease who show absolutely no symptoms. Now, why would that be the case? We have to recognize the fact that their immune systems are doing their jobs. You understand what I'm saying? Their immune systems are intact. The immune system of these people who show no symptoms, they are attacking the invader and getting rid of it because their immunity is what? Because their immunity is high and their immune systems are working like they're supposed to. Now, we say it's these people who have the disease and who don't know that they have the disease who are spreading the disease. See what I mean? We say that that's the problem. The real problem isn't that they're healthy and spreading the disease. That's not the real issue. The real problem is that the unhealthy people are unhealthy in the first place. It's the unhealthy people who are vulnerable because their immunity is low when it should be high. See, that brings us right back to the need for increasing our immunity. That has to be the focus. Now, ideally, if all of us had high immunity, the disease wouldn't be a threat to any of us. You see what I'm saying? Realistically, though, some of us have high immunity and some of us don't. So that's why we have quarantine orders in place. Let me be very clear about this. No matter what's happening on the outside, each living and breathing human being needs to be concerned about what's already going on inside their bodies and inside their minds. Now, I'll get to the mind part in just a minute. My question to you is, are your body's immune defenses strong enough to handle threats from the outside world? And if not, why not? And how can we bring our body's immune systems up where they need to be? We're going to get into some more specifics on that topic in a later show. These are the issues we all need to be concerned about and focused on. And perhaps most of all, one of the most important things we need to recognize is how to be health conscious rather than sickness conscious. Let me say that again. We need to be more health conscious rather than sickness conscious. See, Now, as we wind this episode down, I'd like to share a very important quote by Albert Einstein. We credit Albert Einstein for being one of the world's greatest geniuses, and I'd like you to consider why he would say the following words. Albert Einstein said, "The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or a hostile universe." The most important decision we make is whether we believe we live in a friendly or a hostile universe. That quote is huge. His quote is right in line with Proverbs 23:7 in the Bible. That verse teaches us that we are the creators of our own experiences. See, if you're conscientious or preoccupied with the possibility of being sick or getting sick, then sick is exactly what you'll become. This is a matter of eternal and spiritual law. If you're conscientious about being healthy and seeing yourself as becoming as healthy as possible in spite of everything going on around you, then healthy is what you'll become. The way we see this whole issue determines the whole outcome. Now, I hate to sound redundant, but this bears repeating. If you see yourself as vulnerable, then vulnerable is exactly what you'll become, simply because that's what you believe and thus create. Can you see why this is a soul issue? Your soul consists of your capacity to think, feel, and choose. The soul consists of your mind, your will, and your emotions. Your soul is the seat of human government and creation. Your soul is the invisible part of you that returns to its source when this body of flesh returns to the earth, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Your soul is eternal, even while dwelling in this temporary body of flesh. And Proverbs 23:7 lets us know that our thoughts and the decisions we make in our minds determine what happens next in our bodies. You understand? This is a basic foundational teaching that some of us missed. It's your soul that determines what happens next in your life. The scripture says, "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." If we have a hard time accepting the fact that we are the creators of our own experiences, then Proverbs 23:7 won't make any sense. Those who refuse to accept personal responsibility for what happens within their sphere of influences reject the truth of Proverbs 23:7 and what's known in the world as the law of attraction. What does Proverbs 23:7 say? "For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he." Amen. We typically see the problems of this world as being outside-in problems, when in fact all of them are inside-out issues. This is what I mean by COVID-19 being both a basic human health issue and a human soul issue. Everything happening on the outside starts with thoughts and beliefs in the mind. That's exactly how life works, whether we know this to be true or not. This is what our Creator told us, and He freely gives us the option to believe Him or not. The Soul Side Talk Show is all about self-discovery, self-improvement, self-care, and self-manifestation. Whatever you were born to do is on the inside of you, trying to manifest itself like a tree inside of its own seed, waiting to bust out. I'm looking forward to looking further into this issue as to why Black people are dying at twice the rate as whites in America, how we see ourselves as Black people in this country, what we believe God's Word is actually saying to us, and how we apply what we say we believe are monumental issues. Until our next episode, I'm David J. Dill, host of the Soul Side Talk Show. Peace, and may the Lord richly bless you.